What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video. And in today's video, well, this is our second video today. So first and foremost, if you guys have not seen our video breaking down the Devil Jin reveal trailer, you guys will definitely want to check that out. Link will be right down there somewhere in the description. However, I had promised you guys in that video that I would be back today with another video, this time taking a look at and breaking down the latest dev video from Manager Kiki, as well as a special guest star. That is right, guys, we have a new manager video from Manager Kiki to sit here and talk about, because this one, this time around, I'm pretty sure is one of the longest ones they've ever done, and it is almost exclusively about not just the Tekken 7 collaboration, round 2, but also about collaborations as a whole. And there's some really good information in here. We're going to talk all about it. I'm also going to be talking about confirmation officially this time for a new Korean live stream, the newest King Oppa show. It will be returning. We had reported on the rumors a couple of weeks ago. Some people said that we were just crazy. However, we have now gotten confirmation from Netmarble themselves. There will be a Tekken 7 collaboration round 2 that will be coming up later on this week, and I will be giving you guys all the information on that in today's video as well. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. And let's go ahead and take a look first, before we talk about that live stream, at the latest video from Manager Kiki. And like I mentioned, it's almost all about the Tekken 7 collaboration round 2. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So this is going to be very exciting stuff, guys. If you have not already seen this, this is a very loaded special from the manager. So let's hope that you guys have seen this. You at least know what you're getting into. If not, then you are going to be in for some really cool and very welcome surprises. So first off here, of course, we've got Manager Kiki himself. It's been a while, so very nice to see him. I cannot believe we are already 16 episodes into these. It's hard to believe, but I'm pretty sure I've covered all 16 of these. Yeah, so it's been a while, but we have Chief Zero returning, which can only mean one thing. Of course, we are going to have some pretty good information, right? Because typically speaking, when he comes in, if you guys haven't noticed, he actually has a little bit of important information to go over with us. So this will be really cool. And like I mentioned, we're not just going to be talking about the Tekken 7 collaboration. They also talk about collaborations as a whole. So there's a lot to talk about in here. So I'm going to try and let this play out, but there are going to be specific places and points that we're going to stop and talk about it, because it's kind of important. So basically right here at the beginning, he talks about how the King of Fighters All-Star has basically become known for having these super awesome collaborations. And really, to be honest, as somebody, whenever you're steeped into the fandom of something like we all are with the King of Fighters All-Star, it's very easy to lose sight of what good things we do get. And these collaborations, being the fact that we have such a melting pot of IPs now, it is so awesome to see all these types of characters as well as types of IPs intermingling. It's almost like people make this comparison a lot, but I think it's valid, to something like a Super Smash Brothers, and it's on your mobile device. So very cool stuff. Talks about how they are going to be returning with the Tekken collaboration, especially considering the fact it has been so long. I mean, 4 years is a very long time. The first Tekken collaboration we got was back in year 1, and it was like month 1. So very cool to see it come back. It has been a very long time coming, and it seems like they are very eager to put what they've learned to use going back to this IP, which is really cool as well. So right here, we're going to talk about this. So we have a really cool infographic here. So basically, what this is this is breaking down from region. So by region here, we have global up here in the top left, we have JP over in the top right, and then we have the Korean side down here at the bottom, which is really all they care about right now. I'm just kidding, but still kind of not kidding. So when it comes to this is basically how we all surveyed on what collaboration we wanted to see in the King of Fighters All-Star. And this has been a hot topic of discussion in the community for a very long time. And this is the first big thing I want to kind of pause on and talk about. So right up here at the top, let's start off with the top 3 for each region. The top 3 for each region are as follows. Global voted for Mortal Kombat at 14%, Dragon Ball at number 2 with 13%, so 1 percentage point behind Mortal Kombat. That's big. And then Tekken had 11% in third. Now that's for global. On the JP side, number 1 was Tekken. 16%, separated at number 2 from Street Fighter with 15%. So again, we see that 1 percentage difference there between these two IPs. However, Street Fighter did not even break the top 10. The top 10 on global, which is insane. So that's what we have there. Number 3, we have Samurai Showdown at 8%, tied with Darkstalkers, which is a super cool. I actually honestly kind of prefer this lineup on the JP side. I agree with them quite a bit here. I'd probably swap Tekken down a little bit, but that's just my personal preference. Now for the Korean side, again, the side that they care the most about, we'll get more into that when we go here, or as we go here, but number 1 was Tekken at 24%. 24% of the Korean side of the game wanted Tekken back. Now you see why we are getting Tekken. Dragon Ball showed up at number 2 here at 15%. So number 2 respectively between global and one on the Korean side for Dragon Ball, which is really boding well for a Dragon Ball, potential Dragon Ball collaboration. But then number 3 at 11%, tied with another IP, is Street Fighter and One Piece. So pretty interesting here. We have Street Fighter showing at number 3 here on the Korean side, number 2 on the JP side. So it's in the top 3 on both of these sides, but on global, it's not even in there. So when it comes to this, the few takeaways that I've got is it does not surprise me that Tekken is coming. They're going to talk more about Mortal Kombat when we get through this portion, so we'll talk about that when we get there. However, the big thing that does surprise me and does bode well, in my opinion, for this game is we are probably, so long as it does not cost them all the money in the world, which please don't let it, I'm pretty sure a Dragon Ball collaboration has a really solid chance at getting its way into the King of Fighters All-Star. If that were the case, imagine the matchups. You could no longer have to worry about debating as to how strong Goku is by comparison to some of these other IPs. You'd easily just be able to bring him in, and it would just be one of the coolest things we've ever gotten. And in my opinion, that's just not the fandom in me talking. That is going to be just from a pure fantasy style of gameplay and dream match style of a game, one of the coolest things I could do. So that's really cool. Darkstalkers being on here is so awesome to me. I'm so glad that it made its way on here. Unfortunately, it only shows up over here on the JP side. So again, I find myself definitely agreeing with the JP side, but it is there. Samurai Showdown coming back would also be really cool. Now, of course, Street Fighter is always going to show well unless you're on the global side. I get the feeling most people on the global side were like, we just got this. That's probably what happened, but still kind of confusing. That it didn't even make the top 10 here, but basically though, Samurai Showdown, I do think could end up happening again. However, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to basically a popularity contest and where they think the dollars and cents are coming in. And I think that as far as dollars and cents are concerned, while yes, you'd save money on bringing back Samurai Showdown since it's an in-house SNK property, and so therefore working with SNK for that would probably be extremely easy, to the point where I'm surprised it's never come back. However, I really do think that Dragon Ball has a really good shot. I really do. We see it collaborate. It's currently collaborating with Fortnite. I think Dragon Ball down the road, and we do know at the end of this, by the end of this video with them, that they are already working on the next one of these collaborations. So time will tell. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. This is a very interesting, we could make an entire video on this right here, but I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that for a few minutes. Like I said in my previous video today, this is probably going to be a long video, so strap in, buckle up, buckaroos, we're in it for the long run. So I need a drink. All right, we're good. So right here, they're talking about having the big 3 IPs, and they're going to talk a little bit about Mortal Kombat, right? So when it comes to Mortal Kombat, one of the things they're going to talk about here is the fact that the global side really wants to see Mortal Kombat, which makes sense. It's a huge IP in the West. However, one of the things they're going to talk about here is the reason why it hasn't happened is not because it can't happen, but because they're worried about the content. So we've talked about this before. People have pointed this out in the comments numerous times. The content matter when it comes to these types of IPs like a Mortal Kombat. doesn't necessarily jive too well with what Netmarble's trying to do with the King of Fighters All-Star, which is unfortunate, and it is unfortunate that the gore is so intrinsically tied to Mortal Kombat that it makes it hard for these types of things to happen. But at the same time, they don't entirely rule it out. They're just talking about here how, you know, here right here where he talks about having spines in a game that's rated for T. You know, it is very hard, especially since they do have people of all age groups playing this game. So very difficult for that to work, but they do recognize that we want it. So let's see here. So the next thing I think that they're going to talk about is they're going to be talking about how it is communicating with the devs over on the Tekken side, who are based in Japan versus them being based in Korea. And they talk about how it is very difficult to get everything kind of sussed out, especially with language barriers and so on and so forth, trying to communicate quickly and efficiently. And that is something they talk about quite a bit here. He jokes about not being able to just go overseas. I'd imagine, especially in their region of the world right now, especially around the time this was in development, with the COVID restrictions and things, it was probably a little difficult because do keep in mind, while restrictions in America aren't as bad anymore, other places around this planet are dealing with, still to this day, some pretty harsh restrictions on certain things, including travel. So I'm sure that also plays a part. But I do definitely give them a lot of props for making this stuff work, especially when it can be tricky working with these IP holders, as he's talking about here. They tend to be very hands-on. They want to know how you're treating their characters, kind of where they're going to be in the game, how they're going to be used. And you can definitely tell that these IP holders, this is a common theme, that they want to make sure that respect is being paid to their IP. So very, very interesting stuff. But this is something that we kind of already had been aware of based on previous dev videos. These guys should get a lot of credit for being very honest and open with a lot of the stuff they talk about in these. They're usually very upfront when it comes to kind of what they're dealing with. So very, very nice stuff. Where are we getting into now? Ah, yes, where they talk about which characters are featured, right? So right here, they talk about how one of the most controversial aspects of this collaboration, they don't talk about that part, but Howrong being 2 characters in this. They talk about how they were restricted in the first banners for Tekken back in year 1 from being able to really include Howrong in a way that they felt was respectful towards him. They do keep in mind here that they are going to introduce and talk. I'm going to pause this real quick. We still have 10 minutes in this bad boy. So basically, they are going to be talking about how Howrong was a character because he is a Korean character, and again, Netmarble's based in Korea. They really wanted to include him in the first Tekken collaboration, but they weren't able to do so because they felt restricted by what they were able to do in the different types of mechanics they had in the game up until that point. So now they're going to get into talking about the stance change and the way that that is going to be included with his kit. Now, this is going to be important because they're actually going to point out a few things here, including showing us a little bit of footage, which is going to confirm we're going to have some confirmations of some typings for some of these characters in this video. But they're going to talk about how stance change will work, and we want to talk about that, so let's just get into that. But that's where we're going to be here. I just want to make sure I get my points across before we get kind of ahead of ourselves, right? So let's kind of talk about it. So he talks about Devil Jin and the creation behind that character and the wings. They make a few jokes about how these winged characters tend to be broken, and then they break down which ones it is. So Seven Knights, they talk about Rudy, obviously. They want you to play Seven Knights because I don't know if you guys have seen how that went with Seven Knights 2 as far as revenue in the first year, but it dropped off. But anyway, they talk about all the previous winged characters and make the joke that Devil Jin, because he has wings, is going to have to be good, right? So, but no, it's definitely kind of a common theme. Neo Tengu before him has been extremely powerful in the past and so on. So there's definitely, but at the same time, something to be said about it. But at the same time, with power creep, does it really matter? Because in a month, these characters are probably going to end up getting shot. So, I mean, it just is what it is. So they talk about some of the other characters like Alisa being a chainsaw wielding character, and I can definitely see where, as a developer, when you're working with a small team, how it can be difficult with this many characters that are so different from one another. It can be kind of tough. but he talks about here about how they do have costume variations for two of the characters, being Nina and Howrong. And yeah, it's I'm sure this was shot before they saw everybody's reception of that, but then again, it's probably just us here on the global side that are really complaining about that in a big way, because I'm sure on the Korean side, there's a lot of people there that are excited, and there are people in global, I don't want it to seem like they're not, that are excited, but there are mostly people that are just upset about the fact that we're getting duplicates. So now, stance change. Pressing a skill 3 times will make Howrong change his stance, right? So a couple things here. This is going to be a blue attack type. This Howrong is going to be a blue attack type. So keep that in mind. You can kind of see it a little bit down here, but a blue attack type is what we are getting with Howrong. Amazing typing. Blue needs a really, really strong attack type like this. We don't get them very often. Cool stuff. Now, they're talking about stance change. Again, you have to tap the skill 3 times to stance change. So that actually works out pretty well, I think. What I'm really waiting to see is what the iterations of these stances are doing for the character. But I want to point something out here. So let's go ahead and allow this to play real quick here. So one thing I noticed about this Howrong, notice this aura that he gets right there when he stance changes. Interesting, right? I'll play it one more time just so you guys can get an idea. But again, it's going to stance change and he gets that aura. So I'm wondering, because obviously we've seen in the past, they'd like to, with certain characters, give them certain effects and certain things around them, which is fine. But I'm curious where this aura comes from and what it's going to be doing for him specifically. Like, what does it indicate? Does it indicate just the stance change has occurred, or does it indicate something more? I'm very interested to see. There's still a million question marks around stance change as a mechanic, so we don't really necessarily know what the features are going to be under the hood yet, but this is an interesting UI difference here, and it looks really good. I like that a lot. And this is one of those characters I'm very eager to see a kit on, because chances are this is going to be an EX, possibly, potentially. We'll have to wait and see, but I will wait and see about confirmation, because there's a lot they don't show off in these videos, obviously. So, again, we are going to have some changes, and there are going to be changes as far as mechanics are concerned with the stance change. So tap the skill 3 times to stance change. We'll wait and see how that all works out. Now, he does also confirm, besides Howrong, Alisa, and we talked about this in our breakdown, she is going to be able to switch her stance, quote unquote, even though it's not necessarily a stance, by switching to her chainsaw arms. So this is something else. Basically, it's going to be treated like the stance change, where I'm assuming you're just going to tap 3 times and you will equip or de-equip them based on what you're doing. So we can see this right here. So we see these pop out. Now, when it comes to Alisa here, Alisa is going to be, and I want to make sure that I confirm this, so bear with me.
A few moments later.
All right, I just wanted to confirm her typing before we went on here, but it's because I couldn't remember it because she does not have a typing confirmed in this video. So she's just a red type. We don't know whether she's going to be an attack, balance, or defense type. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to call her a balance type. That's just an assumption. That's just me. So don't take that for gospel. But I'm thinking she might be a red balance type. We'll wait and see how that all works out. So let's continue here. So we see her chainsaws, equip and de-equip. One other thing to notice here, she does not have that aura around her like Howrong did whenever he stance changed. So curious to see what that aura will do for Howrong. I'm curious to see what's going on with his kit. Maybe that's an effect that's added to him because he's an EX. We see a lot of these EX characters. Back in the day, we used to see these effects put around like our SS and our BS characters just to kind of spice them up, give them something that kind of stood out and made them stand out from the pack in regular fest. So I'm wondering if that's going to be something for him. I could be completely off base. I don't know what it means, but it's definitely there. Maybe it's something that's unique to the fact that he's an EX, just as kind of a particle effect type thing. We'll have to wait and see. Who really knows? These guys know, but they're not going to tell us. So like I said, guys, we get a lot in this video. So basically, they make the joke here that we hope your fingers enjoy it when you're on your awakening spam with the stance change, which, yeah, right, that's definitely going to be a thing. But the next stuff that they're going to be talking about is kind of just little homages, little teases, little Easter eggs, right, that might be in the collaboration. The last time when we had Street Fighter collaboration, they told us to keep our eyes open for certain things, and of course they talk about more of that here. They do a good job of trying to play a little fan service in with this stuff a lot of the time. So right here, guys, a couple things right here. Where's my cursor? All right, so right here we are getting this mode back. Now, we did have a version of this mode very recently. Basically, you're going to stand dead in the middle of the screen. You're going to be able to tap on either side of the screen, as you guys can see displayed there, and you're going to fend off these enemies and so on and so forth. Now, what is important here is we do have confirmation that Howrong is a blue attack type. Now again, guys, keep in mind this is a developer build. They can hide or show or choose to show or make us see whatever they want us to see. However, they purposefully left this in here because they realized that they don't care that we were going to see this. So we have it confirmed this is not going to change. He is a blue attack type. So that is something that is going to be really, really interesting again, because I've seen you guys out there and I'm in the same boat. I would love to have a really good blue attack type. Howrong fits that bill. We also see that he is going to get a little bit, as far as our animations go, if we can take a look here, we get at least a look at some early animations of him. Now, granted, this is just in this specific mode, but at least this does confirm that we are getting this mode back. So this is going to be one of the mini games that we're going to be seeing, right? So Howrong is here. Him being paired with Kim and stuff is too predictable, you know? Yeah, I mean, we all kind of saw that coming. I'm sure there's going to be striker links in there as well, but now we're going to talk about Alisa a little bit. So again, guys, lots of stuff in this video. There's so much to go over. That's why I wanted to wait to make a dedicated video to it, because I knew I was going to need to take my time with this. So let's see here. Yeah, so this is where they talk about her holding her head for her finisher. So they told him just to be funny with it, just to make it comedy. And maybe it's because I literally have an entire, I'm covered in tattoos from horror stuff, but I really don't see why, like, that's not that grotesque to me. Maybe for the weak at heart, but to me it's not. So get some comic relief here. So right here we have Alisa's head being held. I'm assuming this is going to be card art, right? This is probably going to be card art. If it's card art, the amount of love for Choi recently is amazing, but I just think that that's adorable. So they talk about kind of the origins of the art and the joke that they're going for with it, which apparently the Speed King Bunji thing is kind of more of a quiche, kind of niche type thing on the Korean side. But as you guys can see here, just as a reference to what it is they're talking about. So it's really funny that they find a way to fit these types of things in here. You know, even if they're things that most of us on the West wouldn't get, you know, they are a Korean-based company, therefore they have influences from other types of things that we would have never even heard of, and it's cool to see that they have fun, right? You always want these guys need to be able to have fun, because the guys and girls that work on these types of games typically are working really long hours, and they're working their asses off, so it's nice to see that they can at least enjoy themselves and put a little bit of themselves into the game as well. So really cool stuff to see. I am looking forward to seeing where that art fits in. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. So yeah, they talk about how they're not even sure if the IP holders for what they were just talking about still even exist, which again, I've never seen that, but I can definitely appreciate a nice inside joke. So Lord knows I make plenty of those. Yeah, in fact, you guys take physical mail, honestly. Maybe I should mail them something. Should we do that? You guys let me know in the comments. So here he's talking about how he talks to Karate Man quite a bit when it comes to things like Dream Match. Of course, we know Karate Man from the channel here on the dev videos. So talking about adding something random to Dream Match. And I think that most people have already talked about this, and I've seen allusions to what this is going to be. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. But I get the feeling that if it's what we're thinking, it's going to be good stuff. But again, definitely the randomness to Dream Match as character picking sometimes is fun. And as much as people talk about connection and stuff, the Dream Match games I've played recently, I haven't had much issues at all. So that's just me though. A new dungeon. Now this is important. So this is my favorite part of this entire video. So they talk about and acknowledge one of the big things they need to improve on: new content, new game modes, and we're getting one. Let's take a look at it, because I am really interested, because this going forward might end up being a recurring thing in the game, and it needs to be. It's called Boss Showdown, where you're going to duke it out against the big winged menace, Devil Jin. In order to encourage more character control and strategy, we've implemented a system where players can select penalties for themselves. So let's look at this. First and foremost, rewards. We have rewards up here. We've seen these Nina tokens. We have a card on here, right? So the Nina tokens are on the website. They're also something we've seen in data mines. We have the exclusive hammers for the collaboration, which we always get. And then we have this card here. So down here we have what we can assume are going to be the debuffs we can add to ourselves and our team, right? And then I'm assuming this is kind of our rank or whatever, our progress or whatever the case may be. Then you've got the boss you're fighting and so on. I don't know that we get... He just moved that. Let's see if there might have been something to that card art there, if we could see anything right as they switch over to it. It doesn't look... Oh, there it is. So the Choi card that we just saw the art for, holding Alisa's head, is an option, and it is for playing this mode. So there you guys have it, and there you are. That's where that card will be featured. Let's continue here. So we can pick penalties and put those penalties onto our characters before we fight this boss, and we have to beat him within the time limit with these penalties, and these penalties actually act as multipliers if we finish the fight, it seems like, towards our score for that mileage, which is really cool. And depending on which penalties you pick, I believe he mentions here, like right here, he mentions several of them. So basically, let's take a look at these real quick, because that was the point I was about to make. If you enter, you can use awakened skills, or you take damage whenever you roll. That's interesting, right? So there's a trade-off. You either can use your awaken, or you get to take damage when you roll. Interesting. So you see the damage, and this is a Lady Choi. The damage is pretty low for a Lady Choi, and if we take a look at her damage by comparison to herself, you're going to notice that it's definitely, they start out with an HP debuff, but she's taking a decent chunk of damage. Not necessarily a ton, but it is a decent chunk. So depending, it looks like the HP pools are going to be adjusted for this game mode quite a bit for both sides, because I'm pretty sure that a Lady Choi just taking a bunch of hits to the face and active skills to the face by a boss, unless the boss's attack is really low, would do a lot of damage. So basically, she's taking a decent amount, not quite that much though, so I think that you're going to have a decently long health pool by comparison to normal, but it's kind of hard to tell exactly what we're looking at as far as that's concerned. So now that I've backed up a little too much, let's try and find where we were at. Oh, we passed it. Okay, never mind. So going back here, there we are. So as you guys can see, decent chunk of health is going to be added. The HP pool is going to be pretty high on both sides. So that'll be interesting to see. It looks like it should be a pretty nice little beat 'em up mode. So that dungeon I am very excited for. Hopefully it leads to things like a world boss down the line. That would be really cool. But either way, I am down for any new content that they want to add to the game. And they talk about how post on the forum if you have something constructive to say, because that's what people use the forums for in this game, right? Anyway, Collection Room was released in July. This part, not really all that interested in. Like I said, Boss Showdown is like what I'm mostly here for. Like the Tekken stuff even, that's cool and all, but I'm pretty sure that if you were to poll everybody, and I might end up doing this, I might do a poll asking you guys what you were most excited about from all this. But I'm pretty sure most people would say that they were super excited to have new content more than anything else from what we see in this trailer. So we are going to be getting some more badges. Good stuff, I suppose. There's a lot of people out there that put a lot of stock in those. They're trying to make a thing out of them. I'm really not all that impressed. That's just me. I mean, it's cool and all, it gives something to work toward, but it is what it is. Now, one last thing I do want to point out here, guys, we're going to go back just a little bit. I promise we're at the end, though. So one thing I want to point out here is that Devil Jin is going to be a purple type. We don't know what typing he will have with that color. However, he is going to be a purple from what we can tell up here. So they covered up his typing for a reason. So we're going to have to wait and see. I'm really hoping that, I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see. We've been getting a lot of purples in the past few months, and there's a lot of really top tier ones, so very curious to see how that all shakes out. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So back to talking about badges and so on and so forth. We get our looks at some new badges and things, but honestly, I think we all are pretty much beyond that when it comes to worrying about that too much. They make good little souvenirs, but are they anything that's noteworthy or anything that we need to sit here and discuss? Not really. So, the next question is, will there be another collab, right? Everybody always wants another collab, even when there's another one about to drop, right? So he does mention here there is a new collaboration after this one that they're already working on. So this shows you guys how many months in advance it takes for them to be able to do this stuff. So hopefully you guys can now plan November. It's going to be November. We always get a collaboration in November. It's pretty much like clockwork. It's like the end of November, early December. There's always something in there. Get your guys' rubies ready, because you're going to need to do a lot more saving after this collaboration with Tekken, I get the feeling, because a lot of people, I think, are going to be pretty happy with what we get here. So anyway, you guys, that's pretty much it. There's really not a whole lot else in here. At this point, I'm pretty sure that we can just go ahead and segue to the final part of this video, because to be honest, there isn't going to be a lot more that they're going to talk about here. So basically, I want you guys to know that we are getting a live stream. So as you guys can see, I made a community post about this earlier, but if we take a look, the King Oppa live stream is official. So we are getting one on August 24th at 9 p.m. KST. Now for me, if I convert that to my time zone, which is Central Standard Time America, then I'm getting 7 a.m., right? I am going to be just reacting to that stream straight out and just giving it to you guys straight. So I'm not going to be doing any fancy edits. Kind of like this one, I'm just going to sit down, I'm going to watch it, I'm going to talk about it. It will be available August 24th, 9 p.m. KST, the King Oppa live stream. As you guys can see, Nee is returning. Nee has been in almost all of our live streams. We got King Oppa, we have the rest of the team. This is going to be really exciting stuff. I'm really happy with what we're getting when it comes to the Tekken collaboration as far as the hype train. They are working their butts off with what little resources that they've got dedicated to this game to really give us something fun and interesting, and more important, they're trying to give us new stuff. So I'm really excited to see what happens here. Hopefully we get a really good look at all the characters, but I will be here with you guys in order to break it all down whenever that happens, even though we do not speak the language. But anyway, you guys, set your calendars for that one on your phones and get ready, because we are going to be getting another collaboration live stream later on this week, as well as the collaboration obviously right after. So anyway, you guys, that is it for me. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of everything we talked about from that awesome dev video. There was so much to talk about there. Let me know what was your most important thing, the most exciting thing that they talked about. And honestly, you guys, I think that there's plenty to digest from that. But anyway, you all, I'm gonna get out of here. This video has been long enough. Like, share, and subscribe on your way out. As always, once we hit a new 1,000 subscribers here on the channel, that milestone means a giveaway for you guys. We are just that close to 5K. So if you guys get there before the end of the collaboration, hey, you can net yourself potentially a $25 Google Play or iOS gift card. Whenever we hit that milestone, I'll talk to you guys more about it then. But until the next one, you all take care. Peace.
Continue.